So what's up, everybody? I'm in my hotel room. I don't have a microphone in front of me, so it's gonna sound, the audio is gonna sound kind of cruddy. But I was gonna try to wait until I release another 15-minute video, because throughout these next few weeks I'm gonna be releasing videos just to kind of promote the podcast. It's gonna be up and coming. And I try also not to be reactionary when it comes to things. Like when the Charlottesville thing happened and Trump came out and said his spiel, and the media tried to paint Antifa as good guys versus a whole bunch of racist guys, and started this huge, battle cry emboldening Antifa, and then they became too much for the media to handle, even too much for the Democrats to handle, and even people like Bernie Sanders, who have a history of supporting them, even had to denounce them. So I didn't want to jump into that like everybody in my Facebook feed constantly all the way down through was all like, oh, these people that were standing up against racists and stuff. But it was actually an extreme left against the extreme right, and Trump was right whenever he said both of them had bad people in it. And I'm sure, some people nabbed on. He said there were some good people in both, some bad people in both. And I'm sure that that's right, because it wasn't just Antifa that was there. It wasn't just the far alt-right that was there. There were some people, because it was like a unite the right type thing, and so there were some people that were probably duped, that weren't racist, that showed up, and they weren't part of the whole tiki torch, saying Jews won't replace us and things. So there probably were some good people on the right that were just kind of confused by the whole deal, didn't really understand why they were there once they got there. And I'm sure on the Antifa side there were some good people on the left, some real liberals that were there, that once they started fighting people like they normally do and started the violence, they were probably confused by what was going on and kind of left and went home. And then Antifa ended up being the one that had somebody die on it, so they were the ones that were martyred and became the good guys, and then the media kind of ate their shoe, especially with the Morning Joe show when he just started going off for his whole show was about Antifa. So anyways, that was kind of a little explanation for what's coming up. Like this Sunday's a good day. It's a good day for me. It's a good day for you. It's a good day for America. Okay, Sunday during the NFL football season is an amazing day, because even if I'm busy, even if I'm out doing something, I can open up my Facebook, and there's always somebody giving a play-by-play on a game that I'm not watching. Or there's ESPN gives play-by-plays. I used to be into fantasy sports. I'm not into fantasy football anymore, but I used to be into fantasy football, so I went through on Facebook and added all the fantasy football people. So I've got like players, ESPN, everybody on there, so I can get constant updates and stuff. And that used to be what Sunday was. But this past Sunday, I opened up Facebook to kind of see how my Niners, and I forgot that they played a Thursday night game. But I got on to just kind of see how football was going, see if my Niners were doing anything, and I didn't see anything. I didn't see any of it. I didn't see any sports updates. And in fact, the one thing that I seen from ESPN, it said 26 players kneel. That was it. That was their post. Nothing about football, nothing about the game, but about the politicized kneeling for the American flag thing. And then Trump gave a speech about, them being fired. He basically gave a speech based on his opinion, just like any other ordinary American has their opinion. He got on and gave his opinion. And for some reason, the left thinks that we live in a dictatorship where Trump's word is gold to his supporters. People who support Trump don't agree with every single thing that he does. In fact, some people only support Trump to like a certain line of, at least he's not Hillary. That's the line that they support him to. They might not agree with any damn thing that he does, but at least he's not Hillary. So, I mean, there's a wide range of Trump supporters, which includes most of the people who voted in President Obama are Trump supporters. So, I don't know if the left just thinks that if he says something, then all of a sudden half the country's going to think that too, that everybody's as brain dead as they are and convinced by stupidity as much as they are, that they're just going to get overwhelmed, and if President Trump says it, then this is what everybody else thinks. And that's not the case at all. Everybody has their own opinion when it comes to this thing. There's soldiers who don't agree that it's demeaning towards them or disrespectful. There's soldiers who think it's disrespectful. There's soldiers. Oh, I seen a post from a soldier's wife that got on and gave this whole spiel, and then somebody immediately came on after that and said that they were happy that people were united against Trump, and all this different stuff. Like, it was madness. It was maddening while I was reading through it, because there was nothing about football. There's nothing about the games, no scores, no nothing like that. It all had to do. And it got me thinking, what great problems we have. What great problems we have here in America. Here's a guy, it all started with Colin Kaepernick. Here's a guy that was adopted by a white family. His white mother got left by his black dad, and she was too broke, too poor to raise him on her own, and so she gave him up to a rich white family who lived in a gated community, really nice place. He never wanted for anything, and he was like a god, a football player in his own high school and stuff. He was God's gift to that family, and they loved him, they supported him, they gave him everything that he ever wanted. He lived, the stereotypical, what the left would imagine white people live. Even though not all white people live that way, but that rich suburban life. So when a lot of black people come up and they say, you don't know the black experience, Colin Kaepernick doesn't know the black experience. He was raised by wealthy parents and he went to a good college. He's been playing football, and he was rich with his family before, and then once he got into football, he got rich. He got drafted high, so he made more money than a lot of other players. And then he got real lucky, and Alex Smith got hurt. I'm a Niners fan, so Alex Smith got hurt, and I thought that he was the better quarterback, but Colin Kaepernick came in and took Alex Smith's spot. And they went to the Super Bowl that year, even though Colin Kaepernick only played half the season. Alex Smith played the other half of the season. Colin Kaepernick got the start, and in my opinion, I think Alex Smith would have won that Super Bowl, and it was because of Colin Kaepernick that he didn't. But anyway, since it was his first real year starting, they gave him this gigantic contract at the end of it, this gigantic contract with all this guaranteed money, okay? And, well, not guaranteed money, but it was performance money. He had to perform in order to get all this extra cash. I mean, there was so much money up for grabs if he would just perform good. Just perform good. And he didn't. He was terrible. He sucked. They let Alex Smith go to Kansas City, and Kansas City, Alex Smith's been tearing it up in Kansas City. I wish we could get him back. But Colin Kaepernick sucked it up. He failed miserably. As soon as Harbaugh left, Kaepernick didn't have that safety net, and he didn't get any of his performance bonuses, any of them. And he got a ton of them that he could have gotten. It's just insane. And so he ends up sitting, and then he ends up not having a job. For the first time in his life, he doesn't have a steady income, and he's got this new activist girlfriend of whom he's been funding her activist group this whole time. He's their moneymaker, okay? And so while she's doing this activist stuff, he's paying in money to her, and it's basically that's where all of his money's going. And so her as an activist starts bringing this up as a racial thing, because he knelt during the national anthem for black people, because he got this girlfriend who was an activist. She told him to do this, and so he did it. And now, but people don't want to acknowledge the fact that he was offered 2 jobs. And then he almost got a job for the Ravens, and his girlfriend said something racist on Twitter, and Ray Lewis was like, what the hell, man? We were about to sign him, and then his girlfriend goes off and says something racist. But even before that, he had 2 offers. They just to Colin Kaepernick, they weren't enough money. They weren't enough millions for Colin Kaepernick to take that job. It's not something racist. He's shitty. He's a shitty quarterback. He's not that good anymore. He would have made extra money had he performed, and they weren't even extravagant performances. They were just average performances in order to get some of these lower end parts of the bonus, and he didn't even get those because he was a terrible quarterback. And all these other teams see that he had all these bonuses. If he would have just performed, he had reason to perform good, reason to try to perform extra good, but he didn't. He was too much involved in his protest of kneeling and not in his performance. And people take that into consideration when they're trying to hire you and pay you millions of dollars to throw a pigskin around. So this has nothing to do with race at all. The only thing that it has to do with race is his girlfriend is a member of Black Lives Matter, and he's been footing the bill for Black Lives Matter. And so ever since he started footing the bill for Black Lives Matter, have you guys noticed that the whole cops going around and hunting black people for sport has stopped? There hasn't been any new stuff about cops killing black people really since he started kneeling for the national anthem, and he started footing over millions of dollars to Black Lives Matter. They have turned their focus completely on him, and he doesn't have a job. One of the jobs is because of her being racist. So imagine that. He foots the bill for a racist Black Lives Matter activist. They stopped focusing on what they focused on before that he said he was kneeling in the first place. There's been no police black people shooting that's been huge in the media or anything like that. They haven't promoted any. It's all been focused on Colin Kaepernick, this multi-millionaire quarterback who plays a game. Who gets paid millions of dollars to play a game. And all these other people who are banding together. And for some odd reason, this is uniquely American, but in America, black people band together. They band together. You know, there could be a sea of white people, one black person over here, one black person over here. And if they don't know each other, and they've never met each other before in their lives, they see each other through the crowd and they go, "What's up, brother?" And they'll go up and talk to each other and they'll feel more comfortable around each other. America is uniquely the only place where that goes on, where that happens. Okay? And so for some reason we got this thing where we've got this narrative where Black Lives Matter, all these other people support Black Lives Matter that are in the NBA, NFL, and all this different stuff, that they've twisted it, and now they're all on board with this whole activism thing, which it all just has something to do with money. And then the whole Stephen Curry incident with him, Stephen Curry came up and he said, "I don't want to go to the White House." No, Trump didn't say anything. And then he came out and said, "I don't want to go to the White House again." So Trump was like, "Well, fine, then you can't come to the White House. I don't want you in my White House then." And so then it started this huge thing where now the kneeling is twisted into, instead of standing up for racial injustice, it's against Trump somehow. So you can't win for losing. Trump can't win for losing. It's all going to be about him. All he gave was an opinion, which a lot of people have. A lot of people have that exact opinion. A lot of people don't have that exact opinion. Don't let it divide you. Don't let it take up. Don't get into an emotional, reactive state of mind where every single time, this is what the news wants, where every single time Trump says something, you emotionally react to it right off the bat without digging in and getting the facts first. This is nothing. This Colin Kaepernick thing, what great problems we have. There are really bad problems all over the world. They still have slavery in the Middle East. ISIS still has sex slaves and slavery. They still toss gays off of roof buildings. Over in Africa, they've still got 10-year-old kids carrying machine guns, murdering people as they drive by. What great problems we have here in America, that this is what's dividing us. The news media taking all the facts out of a situation and just saying he doesn't have a job because racism, and then everybody bands together and kneels, and now they're going to try to do this huge thing where the whole entire NFL kneels. They're trying to call for that. Let me tell you guys something. The NFL is capitalism. It's capitalism at its finest. Okay? You piss enough people off, the people who love football are pure-blooded Americans. They're still, but the large percentage of football fans are pure-blooded Americans, ex-military, all this different stuff. They are gigantic fans of football. That's why there's the national anthem before every game. That's why there's the flyovers. That's why they get real patriotic at the very beginning. They invite tons of military there because that draws people in. People want to watch that. You don't actually want to watch the pregame of the Super Bowl. So go ahead and kneel. It's your choice. You can do it. It's just going to cost the NFL tons of money. And why would you do that against yourself? Because if everybody stops watching the NFL and the NFL starts taking huge hits, guess who suffers for that? You players who are kneeling that are making millions of dollars, you guys are all getting pay cuts. Okay, that's how this works. NBA, NFL. When you start pissing off your base, the people who watch your sport, who watch you play a game, people who watch you make millions, in a country where you can go from the hood, and as long as you have a little bit of athletic ability, you can practice your heart out and practice and get better and better and better, and then one day you could be a millionaire in the NFL. That's this country. That's no other country. That's this country. And then you want to get into that game. It's a game. It's a game. You make millions to play a game. No matter where you come from, no matter what life you did, you were still playing a game that's bought by a consumer. And if you want to piss all them off, take money out of your own pocket and go right ahead. I don't blame the people that are wanting to boycott, and I don't blame the people who are wanting to kneel. I don't blame the people who are wanting to stand. I don't blame any of it. But let's just get back to enjoying what it is. It's a game for our enjoyment. It's a game for our amusement. It's not a political platform. Okay, you want a political platform, you're a superstar, you have fans and stuff, start a YouTube page, start a podcast or something, start saying what you need to say, because you're just annoying people. That's all you're doing. You're just annoying everybody. And pretty soon, nobody's going to be standing for you.